Were to dig up a longshoreman that was buried in the 50s, he wouldn't even understand the industry. It's changed so much. First time I worked on the waterfront was 49, but I came along when the culture of the turn of the century was still involved in shiploading.
The first thing you would see as you approach the dock areas along the west side would be lines and lines of trucks, a massive traffic jam of trucks. There would be mountains of cargoes, stacked hides and bags and barrels and beels, battens and boards and the whole works. And all in the scramble, going everywhere in the world. A lot of busy people, hundreds and hundreds of longshoremen scurrying around, and the ship would sit there a week or more, loading and discharging. It was just like an industry for thousands of people, but very primitive.
If you're talking about the social life, if you're talking about the family life, if you're talking about the cultural life, it was beautiful. And in fact, I believe that's what made it possible for people to survive. But when it came to the workplace, the exploitation was inhuman. The steamship company made no money when the ship was in port, so they didn't care what happened to the men. I mean, people worked like dogs.
Most of the longshoremen, I'd say 40% of the longshoremen when I came here either had ruptures or bum bags. Because everything that went on the ship was always handled by hand. There was no machinery whatsoever. A common sack in this port was what they called a 180-pound wheat sack. And you packed them on your shoulder all day long, usually 10 hours a day.
To load a ship was an art. It was an absolute art. You had to know what you're doing, because if you didn't do it right, somebody was going to get killed, because after you got up 10 or 15 feet, that whole thing would come tumbling down.
I can remember my first job on the waterfront. It used to take us 4 or 5 hours to unload that car. Nowadays, they're all done in about 30 seconds.
The first containers that we saw, we loved, because we didn't have to handle the cargo. Containers were a blessing, we thought, to us at that time.
The whole idea of containerization is all in one package. The bottom line is you made it affordable.
It was a good life, but since I've been retired, I've had a better life.
I don't miss the danger. I don't miss the oppression. I don't miss the fear that you couldn't make a living. But the camaraderie and the social life is something that is lost forever, and it's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy that it's not here anymore.